Morning. So, fabrication bay is open because race truck's over at Morgan's shop getting the axles built. So Saturday before the Ultra 4 race, I went over to Trey's and picked up the next project. So let me walk outside and show you this thing. That is the next big project here. So our buddy's Nick's 100 series. If you can tell, it's solid axle swapped. It has an 80 series Land Cruiser rear axle and an 80 series Land Cruiser front axle in it. Trey over at 12th State Off-Road set up all the suspension, and I have it to finish things off essentially. We got some more fabrication to do, some cleaning up to do. Good little project, but before we get working on this today, we got some day-to-day stuff here to do. I've got a Go Fast to put on, a new turbo cubby to put together to go in the back of it, and then we've got a Tacoma with suspension, so it'll be a bit later, probably around lunchtime. We'll start getting that thing off the trailer. I'll pull it in and go over the list of all the stuff I have to do. Well, it's off the trailer, but first things first, let's wash all the dust off of it. So it's inside, it's washed. Here's my to-do list. Hydro lines from the steering box down to the ram. There's some that are already made, but they're not long enough. Hydro bumps in all four corners. New starter when doing a supercharger. I have a supercharger on the shelf for this thing, so I'll have the intake manifold off, but a starter in it. Supercharger kit's gonna be one of the last things I do. ARB hoses for front locker. I have to dig around and see if there's a solenoid and compressor and all that. Rear locker wiring. It's got an 80 series locker, so gotta dig into that. I'm pretty sure Trail Gear makes a kit, that's what I'm using for my Hilux. Limit straps, I need some clarification if that's just up front or all four corners. Double shear on steering, so making the front steering double shear. Done that before on my mini truck down there. Charge the shocks and adjust the preload. I have nitrogen, so it's not an issue. Frame review and motor mounts. So when it was converted, not all the stuff was cut off the frame, so I've got to cut and clean up the inside of the frame. The outside of the frame is beautiful, the inside's a little rough. And then motor mounts, they're just kind of hanging on a factory mount, so some of the stuff got cut out, so we'll triangulate those a little better. Again, supercharger, extend the oxygen sensor wires to the new headers. Also gonna run it through the exhaust shop when everything is all said and done. Brake lines up front need to be addressed, and add their rear sway bar back on it. 100 series, I believe it's a 100 series rear sway bar I got. And it obviously doesn't bolt up to an 80 axle, so we'll have to figure out that. And then the lower link mounts / like the cross member, we'll gusset that up somehow too. We'll get this thing lifted up, and then I'll kind of show you guys underneath it and what we're talking about. So first thing is hydro lines down to the ram. They come off the box there, and up top I like to run them down and then grab the panel bar or the track bar and then loop them over to the hydro. That's the way I like to do it, so we will do it that way. Bump stops are next. They obviously go on the back of the axle, so we'll have to make a plate, an arm that kind of comes off the back side right here. Could do the front, but the panhard or track bar mount on that side is in the way. The rear, pretty easy for the rear. You just eliminate those. I'll probably French them into the frame or make some kind of bracket that holds them nice. New starter, that's up top, that's easy. ABS hoses or ARB hoses for front locker. So there's a hose right here, and it looks like it's got there, so might just have to extend that hose. That one might be an easy one. Rear locker wiring. So 80 series axle again. Looks like it has it's an Asian at least, but it's a newer-ish locker. And doesn't look like much of it's lining up. So we'll probably just get rid of this factory junk and just get a trail gear one with a rocker switch. I use it, it's awesome. Limit straps, rear, I don't really foresee needing them. I'll ask Nick what he thinks though. But the front definitely needs it. We're hanging off shocks right now, which they're not charged, it's not a huge deal. Brake lines, they're not tight, but they are definitely not loose. Double shear steering. So, double shear is, actually this side's gonna be easier to explain. So, you got the one bracket right here, your bolt's going through, your steering's grabbing this. Potentially, the bolt could wobble. So to get away from that, we're gonna bring a bracket up and we'll double shear, so it'll have another plate similar to this right here. Double shear, keeps it from doing. And over here, he said double shear, which would be this. I'm gonna do the triple shear. So we'll have one similar to that side on the bottom of the bolt right here. And then also our drag link right here is technically single shear. We will come off the top of the knuckle like I do my mini truck and do that. Let me walk down the mini truck, I'll show you. So drag link on top, tie rod on the bottom, all the way down here to the mini truck, whose engine is in, by the way. I just need to put oil in it and fire it up. I stacked mine, so my tie rod is on top of my knuckle. This is the same axle he has. So there, and then double shear over here as well. So something like that, but better. I made this at a 1/4 inch before I even had a plasma table. So same axle, same kind of ordeal. All right, back over here. Charge shocks, just preload. Obviously they ain't set right because the spring's falling out, but limit straps will fix that. Drive shaft angle doesn't look too bad, honestly. Like, pinions pointed up, it's hard to get that on video. Pinions pointed up to the transfer case. I bet we could get away with a double cardon joint right there. That's no worse than my mini truck, honestly. So, yeah, we'll be good there. Frame review and motor mounts, there we go. So, some of the brackets weren't cut off all the way. We're gonna clean all that stuff up. As you can see, all that. Let me clean my screen, I got goo all over it. Oh, that's much better. So, mounts not cleaned up 100%. We're gonna clean all that up. And then motor mounts are just kind of hanging out right here. So we'll bring some triangle gussets off of them out of something. And then review some of this kind of stuff. That way he doesn't have problems going down the road. Like, this one's not so bad. It just needs to be gusseted out. This one though, I'm not happy with that. We'll redo that. What else we got? Supercharger, again, that's up top. That's in a box on the shelf. Extend O2 wires to new headers. He's got some Doug Thorley's, I believe, on there. And it looks like the wiring doesn't reach wherever his plug is. I'll have to go do some digging in the harness. We might be able to just relax the harness in a couple areas and get those to reach. I'll have to do some digging up in there and figure out where the end of those harnesses are. Brake lines up front. That's the Series one. So right now, the hard line is just unbolted. It's pulled down, and then you just have this regular rubber hose coming down to here. No problem. I'll go get some stainless lines made at a local place. We'll bring them all the way up. We'll get rid of that hard line completely. It'll come off straight that bracket. And we'll loop them down nice onto the lower link here. Get them to come down and over. Do that on both sides. So come down, bring the line, loop it, lower link, run lower link, and then over to caliper. Pretty simple there. Rear sway bar. Pretty sure that is a 100 series. No, that sucker's offset. Look at that. So I don't know if you guys know this or not, but 80 series rear axles are offset to the side. I can't remember how far, but I have the same axle in my mini truck, so it's offset to the side. That bump out for the pumpkin is offset to the side, and looking at it, those are definitely 80 series side mounts. So I have an 80 series rear sway bar. I don't have mounts. I got one rubber bushing and that's it. So I'll have to buy rubber bushings and the mounts to hold it to the axle, and then we'll have to fabricate something there to there, probably some better end links, and get that set back up in here if we can. We'll see. I'll get creative with that because the frames are completely different. So yeah, I gotta figure that out. And we also don't have sway bar mounts. That, or they're just escaping my vision right now, but I am not seeing them. They go definitely on the front. This axle's been in something, because that's a leaf spring mount if I've ever seen one. So yeah, this has been under something. Yeah, something's going on. I bet this lived under the back of a truck or something like that, but that's definitely a leaf spring mount. So whoever had the axle before this, why are my sway bar mounts? They gone. Oh, they used to live right there. You feel it. So, all right, that's another thing we have to do. And lower link mounts, that's the big one. We noticed it when I was putting it up on the trailer. So, lower link right here, that honestly takes 75-ish% of the brunt of the axle trying to go this way or that way. Trey made a super sick crossbar. Beautiful work. Suspension is dialed in with this, like his 3 links are perfect. He helped me do all the math on the race truck to get it right. So his math and his work is beautiful. But what we don't like is this right here. It has nothing really keeping it from wobbling as this gets hit and pulled. So it's made out of 1/4 inch. It's all made out of 1/4 inch, but it's just onto the side of the frame with a plate there. So it's probably fine for driving around. All the Bro whatever 50s probably run something similar to this, but this is an off-road rig, not a mall crawler. So there's nothing to keep this from going. So what I'm going to do is, we have the factory cross member right here. I will either cut that out and make something new, which is probably going to be easier, or I'll come off of it. But looking at it, I mean, all it's really doing, it was there for the torsion bars that this suspension used to have. We will take this sucker out, we will make a new cross member, we will weld it in, and then we will tie into this off the bottom here. We'll probably weld some plates off, and then you will have 2 cross members that go right here, and then underneath it we will make a skid plate to protect that transfer case. So that's a serious job, but honestly it's not too hard, not too bad. We can make it out of tube, rock and roll with it, it'll be perfect. But as far as suspension geometry goes, he knocked this thing out of the park. It is beautiful work. He made all this. That's not a bought piece. He made that. You feel it's off a plasma table. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful work. Tied in the transmission mount Trey, you did good. You did good. I'm proud of you. I'd almost hire you. Almost. Yeah, look at it. Beautiful work. Beautiful work. I think the only thing I would change would be I would take that tie rod and I would have stacked it on top of the knuckles. But it might be a packaging issue. If this bar is up too high, it might run into the frame. I don't know. He did all that. So, I mean, it sits, you have your track bar and your drag link, and even at full droop, they're still perfectly parallel with each other. But new project for the shop. It's gonna take a few weeks, but we'll get it. Let's start on this thing. I don't know where to start. The bump stops are gonna be a pain. Supercharger is gonna be a pain. Clean up the frame's not so bad. Making this rear crossmember's a lot of work, but not hard. I'm not looking forward to the bump stops. I just got no room to package them. Unless I get really creative. I don't know where to start. Let me put this phone down and start looking. I just got no room. It's gonna have to come off the back, which sucks. Yeah, let me figure some stuff out. I think what we will start with is we'll start knocking off some of the easy stuff, like cleaning this frame up, get all that stuff up front done. And then that'll probably roll into hydro bumps, and yeah, it's gonna be a fun one. A lot of work. I think it's a pretty long video for you guys. Thanks for watching. Subscribe, like, share, all the fun stuff. Bye.